Greetings to you children. Welcome back to the science class. In today's session we are going to see about the topic Human Excretory System. Yes children, before we enter into this excretory system, you should definitely know what is the meaning of excretion. Yes, excretion is nothing but it is the releasing of the metabolic waste that is produced in our body due to several metabolic reactions that takes place continuously. So what are the materials present in this excreta? It involves urea. So urea is the major metabolic waste and is highly harmful for our body if it is accumulated within itself. Now coming to the organs involving excretion process. It involves a pair of kidneys, which is a organ, and lungs. So lungs, we know that it is involved in the respiration process in which during the exhalation, that is while releasing the gas outside our body, that process is called exhalation. So during the exhalation process, carbon dioxide is released outside the body. Then coming to the skin. Skin involves sweat glands through which the sweat is released, and in that sweat only the excreta is present, such as urea, water and salts. So now we will see about the harmful effects of these metabolic waste. So when these metabolic waste, especially urea which is accumulated inside our body, it is highly effective and it is very dangerous for our body if it is accumulated. And once if it is absorbed in our body itself, we will not be having the normal routine in our daily lives. So we will be having several diseases. So in order to avoid dangerous conditions and diseases, it is necessary for our body to follow the excretion process. So now let us start with the kidneys. So kidneys involve a pair of kidneys and followed by the two ureters, that is a pair of ureters which conducts the urine from the kidney, and then it connects to the urinary bladder, and from the bladder it ends into the urethra. So this urethra is the point where the urine is excreted outside the body, passing from the urinary bladder. So now let us start with the skin. Skin is the outermost layer of our body and it is stretched throughout our body such that it protects our internal organs, such that it is embedded and fixed inside it and do not cause any harm from the outside. So this skin accounts for about 15% of our total weight of the body. So it means that our skin is the biggest, that is, it is the largest organ of our body. How the skin is involved in the excretion process? Have you ever imagined this? Yes, I will explain you how it is. So whenever you feel that you had worked hard so much, and whenever you walk for a long distance for about half an hour or 20 minutes, you start sweating, isn't it? So for that reason only, the diabetes patient also or the obese patient also walk such that they release their sweat. Have you ever wondered why they should release the sweat in order to maintain a healthy condition of their body? Because this sweat contains the excreta, the major excreta products which is present in our body. So once when it is let outside the body, we will definitely be healthy. So, this sweat is produced in our skin with the help of gland called sweat gland. So, other than the sweat glands, many other different kinds of glands and tissues are associated inside the skin. So, this skin constitutes several layers embedded parallelly into it. So, the major gland is the sweat gland, which secretes the sweat, in which the urea, salts, salt in the sense it is called sodium chloride. So, sodium chloride is the salt present in our body, which is present in excess amount or the unwanted amounts of sodium chloride, which is excreted from our body in the form of sweat. So, this is the role of skin, in which the sweat is secreted and is excreted outside the body. Now, let's learn about the kidneys. Location of the kidneys. Human body constitutes a pair of kidneys which is located on the either side of the human body. It is located in the lower part of our body, which is called the pelvic cavity. It is attached to the dorsal wall of the body. It means that it is attached to the backside of our body. So, our liver is present on the right side and it occupies a large amount of space on the right lower part of our body. So, this is the reason why the right kidney is little bit lower when compared to that of the left kidney. Now we will see about the structure.
Outer surface of a kidney is convex and the inner surface is concave. The inner surface has a deep notch. Here you can see the ureter, renal artery and renal vein entering the kidney through this notch. A fibrous capsule surrounds the kidney. Inside the kidney, there are two zones, the cortex and the medulla. The cortex is a reddish-brown layer of tissue below the capsule, whereas medulla is a form of pale conical-shaped striations. The main function of the kidneys is to remove waste products and excess water from the blood. The kidney does it with the help of tiny filters present in it. These filters are called nephrons. The cortex and medulla together comprise millions of such nephrons, all packed together.
Medulla comprises of conical structures called medullary pyramids or renal pyramids, and it lies adjacent to the cortex, that is, it lies in the same line of the cortex. Ureters are the muscular tubes which starts from the hilum. I told you before that blood vessels and nerves enter into the kidney, which carries blood to be purified with the help of uriniferous tubules or renal tubules. And this ureters, it comes out from the hilum on the other side, which carries the urine from the uriniferous tubules and is passed into the urinary bladder, which stores the urine there. So, this urine is passed into the ureters with the means of peristaltic movements. Urinary bladder. This bladder is an organ which is in the sac-like structure and is present in the lower part of our body called the pelvic cavity. The role of urinary bladder is to store the urine temporarily, and when it gets the signals that when the urine is filled inside the urinary bladder, it gets released from the next organ, that is the next part of the kidney called the urethra. Urethra. urethra is a membranous organ which involves the releasing of urine from the urinary bladder. It closes or open during the urination. That is, the process of releasing the urine from the urethral opening is called the micturition process. So it comprises of sphincters which opens and close only at the time of micturition. Functions of kidney. Kidney balances the fluids of the body, and next one is, as we know, that it involves in the removal of the waste products. It is also involved in the maintenance of our normal blood pressure of our body by balancing the electrolytes such as sodium and potassium. It is also important for the regulation of bone mineralization process. And last but not the least, it is involved in the production of RBC cells. So what is the meaning of RBC? It is nothing but red blood cells which is present in our blood. Now we will learn about the structure of nephron. What is a nephron? It is the structural and functional unit of the kidney which actually works for the urine formation. Yes, children, this nephron is located in the place of cortex and medullary region. So, this nephron consists of two regions, namely the renal corpuscle or malphigian corpuscle, and the next region followed by this corpuscle is renal tubule. So from the word itself we can understand that it includes the tube-like structure. So now let's learn the structure of these two regions and their function in detail. So this malphigian corpuscle or renal corpuscle is a cup-like structure which is called Bowman's capsule. It is called Bowman's capsule. Inside this Bowman's capsule, we can see the bunch of blood capillaries, collectively called the glomerulus. So, the first region of the nephron is the renal corpuscle or malphigian corpuscle, which is in the form of a cup-like structure, which is called the Bowman's capsule. Inside this Bowman's capsule, we can find the blood capillaries called the glomerulus. Now we will see about the next part of the renal tubular region. So in this renal tubules, we can find three parts. That is, from the glomerulus, we can see a thin tube-like structure connecting to it. So that tube-like structure is coiled, and that coiled region alone is said to be the proximal convoluted tubule. This proximal convoluted tubule is then continued into a descending tube and then to an ascending tube, that is in the U-shaped structure, which is called the loop of Henle. And this loop of Henle again has a small coiled structure of tube-like thing called the distal convoluted tubule. So now these are the three regions involved in the renal tubular part of the nephron. After the end of this distal convoluted tubule, whatever the water, that is the liquid form filtered from these regions, is collectively released into the collecting tubule, that is at the junction of the hilum, and from there it is connected to the ureters and then to the urinary bladder, and finally through the urethral opening the urine is excreted outside. So this is how the urine is processed, that is, this is the way how the urine is passed. So now we will learn about the mechanism of urine formation, how it is formed, what are the processes involved during the blood filtration process. It involves three steps, namely glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and the third one comes here, tubular secretion. Glomerular filtration. So here in this step, it takes place in the glomerulus, which is a cup-like structure. In glomerulus, first the blood is passed into the blood capillaries and it is filtered. So it absorbs all the essential and the non-essential nutrients which are all required for the body, and the rest of the substances which are in excess amount and which is unwanted is left out in the blood as such, and it transports into the proximal convoluted tubule now. So the remaining filtrate which passes out from glomerular filtration is said to be the glomerular filtrate, and now it enters into the tubular reabsorption. So why it is said to be reabsorption? Because first step where the absorption is already done. So now here in reabsorption, tubular reabsorption, once again the blood is going to be filtered so that the essential nutrients are alone absorbed, such as glucose, amino acids, bicarbonates and salts, and some amount of water is also reabsorbed from that glomerular filtrate. So this process is said to be selective reabsorption. So now after the reabsorption process, whatever the filtrate is moving down, it is going to be concentrated more. So now this is not permeable to the ascending loop. So what happens here in this area of the ascending loop, it is not able to reabsorb further. So in order to have this filtration process, it is going to secrete some sort of ions, namely the potassium ions. So these ions are produced so that the remaining process of filtration becomes easier, and also the concentrated nature of urine becomes easy for the flow of urine into the collecting duct. So now after this process of secretion becomes over, now that fluid alone is filtered outside into the collecting duct, which is hypertonic in nature. Hypertonic in the sense which includes only the water and urea, that is the metabolic waste. So now it passes into the collecting duct and then reaches the ureters. And then with the process of micturition, urine is excreted outside the body.
The excretory system in human beings consists of a pair of kidneys. The longitudinal section of kidney shows two prominent regions, a cortex and a medulla. Inside the kidney, we observed numerous nephrons. Each nephron has a Bowman's capsule, a proximal convoluted tubule, a loop of Henle, a distal convoluted tubule that leads to a collecting duct. In the cavity of the Bowman's capsule, there is a bundle of capillaries known as the glomerulus. As blood flows through the glomerulus, water, salts, and waste diffuse into the Bowman's capsule. This liquid then passes into the PCT and the loop of Henle, where water and important salts are absorbed back into the blood vessel. Only the waste material like urea and some water molecules proceed into the DCT, where more water may get absorbed into the interstitial fluid. The liquid remaining in the DCT is the urine, which is finally released into the collecting.
Both the kidneys are of about 2 million nephrons collectively. So, our kidneys can filter about 180 to 190 liters of blood per day. So, during this filtration process, 99% of the whole blood is reabsorbed, that it is filtered up, and only 1% of the blood is becoming as urine, which contains the excreta such as urea, ammonia, and some unwanted or excess salts. Dialysis or artificial kidney. So I hope definitely you would have heard about the term dialysis. Yes, children, what is the meaning of this dialysis? Yes, so whenever a person fails to filter the blood with the help of kidneys, then that person is subjected to dialysis or artificial kidney. So, in this dialysis process, the patient who is not having the capability to filter the blood in the kidney, so that person will be subjected to the process of dialysis where his blood will be isolated and connected to a machine or a motor and gets purified, and again it is returning back to the same person with another tube. So this is the reason why it is said to be artificial kidney or dialysis. So in other means it is also called hemodialysis. Why? Because it contains the blood. So the blood contains the pigment called hemoglobin, and that is why it is said to be hemodialysis. So now we will learn how the dialysis is processed and done.
Dialysis. Dialysis is a process through which waste products are artificially removed from the blood to compensate for the presence of an abnormally functioning kidney. In a healthy kidney, waste products, excess fluids, and electrolytes such as sodium and potassium are removed from the body in the form of urine. In the case of kidney disease, the loss of kidney function results in the increased accumulation of excess waste, toxins, or fluid in the body, thereby causing other complications such as hypertension, heart failure, pulmonary edema, metabolic acidosis, and hyperkalemia. Dialysis is performed in the following situations. 1. Acute kidney failure, or 2. To remove drugs or poisons from the body. Dialysis could be of two types. 1. Hemodialysis. 2. Peritoneal dialysis. Hemodialysis. This is done with the aid of a dialyzer, which is a machine present outside the body, which removes the toxic substances from the blood. At the start of the process, 2 needles are inserted into the fistula or graft, allowing a circuit to be set up with the dialyzer. Blood flows out of the body into the dialyzer, which consists of filtering fibers that remove waste products and excess fluid from the blood, and a dialysate which acts as an absorbent solution for undesirable substances in the blood. Blood purified in this manner is returned to the body through the tubing into the second needle at the access site. When the hemodialysis session is complete, the needles and tubing are removed, and the patient is allowed to return home.
So what happens even when this dialysis is not effective in the patient? Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. We can have another chance, which is so-called the kidney transplantation. So kidney transplantation involves the transplantation of kidney from one person to another. So the first kidney transplantation was done in USA, Boston, where twin brothers were involved. So the kidneys of one twin brother was transplanted into another one, and he survived for about 8 years, it seems. So nowadays, in current scenario, kidneys diseases are very easier to solve and can be retained its nature with the help of this artificial kidney or dialysis, and in the advanced stages we can even have the kidney transplantation method. I hope you all have understood about the urine formation, that how the urine is formed in our body with the help of our excretory system called the kidneys, and also from the skin in the form of sweat. Hope we'll meet you soon in the next video. Thank you, children.